In today's video, I thought it would be fun to find a random dental office and show you how I'd build a newsletter for them. If you're new here, my name is Nick and I love newsletters. Not just because you can build these massive advertising businesses like Morning Brew or The Hustle, but because newsletters are the single best marketing channel you can have for your business to reach your customers. Newsletters give you a direct line of communication with your customers so you can remind them that you exist and provide them with value, all without paying the advertising mob bosses like Facebook and Google. So with all that said, let's find a random dental office and let's get into the video. Okay, so I got Google here and I'm just going to choose a random city like Chicago. And I'm just going to say dentist in Chicago. I spelled dentist wrong, but that's okay. So let's just go to, let's pull up like 2 or 3 here and look at what we have. So we have Shoreline Dental Chicago. Looks like they have somewhat of a cool site here. So they have videos. They're more sophisticated than a lot of dental offices. But let's see if they have a newsletter. So I don't see email secured by Powbox. Services about. So I don't see a sign up for a newsletter. It could be that they do have one and they're just using their customer list. But let's go ahead and look at another one, Downtown Dental. This one looks like it might be part of a bigger franchise. It looks like they have 2 locations here, but let's see. They have appointment request. I don't see anywhere for a newsletter submission. And then let's look at the last one here, Chicago Dental Studio. I like the look. Looks like they have a ton of different offices, so they would be multiple locations, could be a franchise. Let's go ahead and go with the first one because it looks like they are just one office. And I actually kind of like this logo that they have here. So in today's video, we will be building for Shoreline Dental Chicago. Who knows if they'll ever see this, but that would be kind of cool. So at Shoreline Dental, we have Dr. Molly Rojas, Dr. Sonal Patel, and that looks like the 2 dentists that we have there. Starting out, we can just start with the basics and get their logo. So I'll just go ahead and grab their logo like this. I just pulled up a new Canva template just so we can play around with this a little bit. But let's get this square. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the background the same color. There we go. So now it looks a little better. Let's center that. Okay, perfect. Now we have our square logo. And I'm going to be using the Miami Mix-Up that I've used in a past video. I think I'm on like the last day of my free trial here. So perfect timing. We will turn the Miami Mix-Up into Shoreline Dental Chicago's first newsletter. So first off, let's start out with the publication settings. So publication name, let's change this to Line Dental Newsletter. We get a little more creative with that, but all things about Shoreline Dental and things to do around Chicago. So I like the idea of providing your audience or your patients, your customers, with a little more value than just like, hey, come in and get work done with us. So like we can think of creative things to do, like including events in Chicago or things that they can do or recommendations from the dentist, things that are actually valuable and people are going to be interested in. Because when people get your newsletter, you don't want them just to be like, oh, this is another marketing email. They want me to buy whatever they're selling. You want to provide value so they're like, oh, I wonder what they have to say today. So I'm going to say things to do around Chicago because in the newsletter, we're going to include a section for things to do in Chicago each week. So publication logo, go ahead and change that. And then default thumbnail preview, we will change that as well. So now we have Shoreline Dental's logo in both of these. Everything's changed up here. Now we can go to the website builder and let's go ahead and change the sign up page. Still says Miami Mix-Up here. Let's go ahead and change that. So let's just say Shoreline Dental and then get the latest scoop on what's happening with Shoreline Dental and things to do in Chicago. Most likely, you're not going to have a lot of customers coming to this subscribe page and subscribing to your newsletter because, again, this is going to be a business newsletter. So most of your subscribers are just going to be your customers that you're going to take from your customer list and put on your newsletter or provide a subscribe widget on your actual web page here. So on their website here, we could put a little widget here or anywhere on the page that just says subscribe to our newsletter and stay up to date with what's up at Shoreline Dental. So this isn't that big of a deal, but I just wanted to show this because you can design this however you want. So I'm going to go ahead and publish that sign up page. And then let's go back and I'm actually going to show you how I would implement this on their website. So we're going to create a new subscribe form. So I'm going to say Line Dental sub widget header description, stay tuned with what's going on with Shoreline Dental. And then we're going to go ahead and put this widget on our website or on the Shoreline Dental website. So enter your email, subscribe. I'm going to make the button color, try to match Shoreline Dental a little bit more. Close enough. And then you can have a little fun with it. So there's something called the forgotten text, and this is a good example of it. So after someone subscribes, usually it's just going to say, you're subscribed, like look out for your email. You can always have fun with this and say like, now go brush your teeth. Perfect. So we're going to save that. And now we have our subscribe form. So you can see what it's actually going to look like. So if we put this on their website, this is what it's going to look like. Shoreline Dental newsletter, stay up to date with what's going on with Shoreline Dental. Now I hate that subscribe there, right? So I'm actually going to go back, change the button text color, background color. Okay, now this should be all good. Let's check one last time, view. Okay, perfect. So this is what's going to look like: full width, fixed width, or the slim one. I'm going to go full width. Actually, I'm going to go fixed width. And then I'm just going to show you what this would look like. So obviously I don't have access to their website, but I'm going to show you what it would look like just using a post. So I'm going to say start writing. And then an easy way to show of what the HTML would look like is you're just going to do \HTML snippet, paste that in there, and then say preview. So if you posted this on their website, this is what it would look like. So we just have this right here, or let's say like right there. I think right there would be a good spot for it. So that's how I would get subscribers that just land on your page. Most likely what you're going to do though is you're just going to take your customer list. So I would just go to Shoreline Dental's customer list, because I'm sure that they have an extensive customer list that they send, appointment reminders, or when someone says contact us, have a question, email us. So it looks like they actually don't have a lead submission form, which is interesting. If you go to some of these other websites, let's see, book an appointment, schedule an appointment, set a location, continue. A lot of the times it's going to take you through this form of like, okay, please use the booking widget below, and you'll have to input your email address. So they should have a customer list of a bunch of email addresses. I would just take all those emails, drop them into Beehive. You now have your subscriber list for your newsletter, but you can also get them through this way. Okay, so we have all the newsletter stuff set up, right? There's obviously tons more stuff that I would do. There's a lot more that you can customize and set up with your website. You can go crazy on it. There's other formats of the logo, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I have other videos about how you can actually style the newsletter. What I want to talk about is what would you actually include in a dental newsletter? Like, this isn't a local newsletter where you're just sending out events that are taking place, or a B2B newsletter where you're talking about the latest marketing trends or deep dives. What do you talk about for a dental newsletter? So first off, if I ran a dental newsletter, I would send it out most likely once every 2 weeks. Nobody wants to get a newsletter from your office every single week. Every 2 weeks is probably the perfect amount. It's not too much. It's not too little. That's where I would start. It'll also give you more time to come up with content. The first thing I would start with was just like a quick intro to the newsletter. So this is what a lot of different newsletters use. It's usually about 3 to 4 sentences, just like, what's up, y'all? Dr. Rojas here. It's a beautiful week in Chicago, and there's so much to do. Now, I'm just riffing off this. There's a lot more that I would go into, but you just want like a personal note from Dr. Rojas. You want to make it sound like she's just addressing you and just saying, hey, what's up, y'all? We've got a lot going on at the office this week. There's so much to do in Chicago. We're excited to get into it. And then you'll get into the newsletter. It's just going to be like the personal touch from the actual doctor. Next thing is I would add something like an office update section. So one way of doing this is just making let's do a border here. So I'm going to do 5 and 5. And then let's make that, try to match the color of their colors. Set color. Perfect. So I want to make recurring sections so that every time you log into the newsletter, you know exactly what you're going to write, or basically the format that you're going to have to write. Basically, every newsletter has this. You know exactly what you're going to write. Ideally, the topics that you're going to write about. Now, you still have to come up with the content, but you know every week we're going to do a note from the doctor at the top, then we're going to do office updates, and then so on and so on. So for this, I would do something like office updates. Let's change that to header 3. Bold, and then we'll just go into it. You could do like this and just say like, we got new floors and we can't wait for you to see them. Now, obviously, you're not going to have an update like this every week. You're not going to get new floors or like new paint or something, but when there's an update like this is the perfect spot to do it. Also, if you hired someone, if something big happened, if it's an anniversary, if it's the anniversary of the dental office has been in business for a certain amount of years. So you could say like, we turned 5. Check out this local newspaper that covered the story. Sally joined our team. So these are just some ideas. This will depend on the office, but just quick updates from the office. Make people feel like you're a real human and like they're looking at the office from an outsider's perspective of being like, oh, it feels like I know them. I'm staying up to date with what's going on with the office. The next one that I think would be fun, and you could do this for any niche, so dental, chiropractic, general doctors. I think a tip of the week, and this could be from the doctor, but I'm going to do copy to clipboard. I'm going to say dental tip of the week. And let's just go to ChatGPT and say something like, can you give me a quick dental tip? Perfect. And sure. Don't rinse after brushing. This is perfect. We'll post that right here. Take that out. And maybe we could even do like a little picture here. So can you make a graphic about this? Now that's going to take a second, so I will give it a second, but let's move on to the next one. So maybe for the next one, let's go ahead and copy this, and then let's change the actual the visual settings. Let's change the border color to, I don't know, let's change it to a red just to give some other color in there. And then we could also do background color of, could we do like a tan? Let's see, tan yellow. I don't love it, but there's a lot that you could do here. So next idea is that you could do something like a patient feature of the week. So let's just go ahead and grab a random picture of someone here. Copy image. That looks really bad, but let's just pretend this is a good picture of one of your patients and just say Bob Dylan, our trusty patient. And then you could go into something like Bob is a local to Chicago and has been in the area his whole life. Bob runs Chicago's best landscaping company, and so on, right? So you could highlight a local patient and basically just like give their story. If they run a local business, if they've been with your practice for a really long time, there's a lot that you could do there and basically make it feel more of like a community so that when your patients read this, they'll be like, oh, I want to be featured in the newsletter. Like, how cool is that? Or if it's someone that they know, right? Like if they know Bob, it's like, oh my gosh, I saw Bob in my email inbox this morning. That's pretty cool. It's like when you see someone on the news, right? Like if you know someone and you see them on the news, it's still kind of cool because it's like, whoa, this thing that feels like a third wall with the TV, they're actually on it. It's just something that's cool to highlight and make things feel like a community. Let's see if ChatGPT, okay, this is perfect. This is so good. Okay, so let's copy this and let's put this in our tip of the week. Okay, we can just drop it right there. Okay, perfect. Don't rinse right after brushing. So whether this is true or not, I don't know, but we're going to roll with it. This is perfect graphic and a tip of the week. Everyone loves a tip of the week, especially for things that can make you healthier. So we have 3 sections here, and these are all sections that are somewhat straightforward to just repeat every single week and actually provide value without being like, hey, we have available appointments and we want you to come in. This like feels like you're actually getting to know someone. It feels like a friend sending you an email with actual value, updates, and tips. So last thing that I think would be interesting to include here is local events. So let's go ahead and copy the office updates. office updates. Let's change this to local events. And then let's go ahead and go to Google and say Chicago events happening this week. Perfect. Now we could just take all of these events. I'm going to say, okay, here's those events. Can you grab the text from this image and format it for my newsletter? Okay, let's see what it gives. Beautiful. Okay, let's copy all of these and let's just throw this in here. I mean, easy, just like that. One thing I did realize is that for spacing, we probably want to change this to something like 5 outer spacing. I'm going to change it on this one. Okay, and that is looking decent to me. Obviously, this just took me like 10 minutes, but I think these are some pretty good ideas of how you could build out a dental newsletter. Now, before we look at what it would actually look like, let's go ahead and resize this. And I'm just going to keep that. I'm going to say like 1200. I don't know if this is the correct size. I want to say it's 600 and 1200, but let's resize this. Boom, make it a little bigger. Let's download this. Okay, and then when we come to style here, let's go to advanced, email header, image. Nice. Okay, I would probably change this up. Actually, image width is going to be 100%. I would probably round off the corners here. I think that would look a little better, but come on, we're just rolling with the punches here. So, I mean, for 10 minutes, I don't think this is bad, but I think this just gives you an idea of basically how much you could do with a company newsletter, right? So whether you're a dentist, a chiropractor, a general doctor, if you run any sort of practice, a newsletter is definitely the best way that you could stay in contact with your patients. Now, the last thing that I completely forgot here and didn't even put is you want a call to action, right? You run a dental office and you want your patients to come in. So let's go ahead and add one more section, and let's actually add it at the top because why not? Let's go here. I actually want to change the spacing to outer spacing 5 so that they're not right above. There we go, visual. Okay, that's fine. Spacing, we'll go with 5. And I'm going to say, book your next spots are all filling for spring and you don't want a dirty mouth, do you? Make sure to book your spot ASAP. And then let's just do a custom button and say book appointment now dash. And then let's just go to schedule an appointment. Let's take this link, put it right in that button, change that button to center. And just like that, now when they get the email, they're going to see, oh, book your next appointment right there. Dental tip of the week, patient feature of the week, Bob Dylan. Oh my gosh, Bob Dylan goes to my dental office. That's crazy. And then local events at the bottom. Look at all these things we could do in Chicago. Now my dentist sends me things that I could do in Chicago and I want to open their email. How cool is that? All right. I think that's it. And of course, if you don't want to do all of this yourself, you can just hire me and my team. Letterdogs.com. Go there. Get in contact. We'd love to talk to you about how you can build out your newsletter, or we could just do it all for you because you don't have time to run a newsletter when you're running a business. So that's all. Let me know what you think. And as always, appreciate you.